Gabriel Conaghan skimmed over the day's work and then heaved a sigh of relief. Some days the writing went fast and the words flowed. This had not been one of those days. He had been unable to settle into the world of his novel. His protagonist had felt flat and one-dimensional. He'd gone online to do research, only to look up an hour and a half later with the realization that he'd fallen down a rabbit hole and was reading stuff that had nothing to do with what he had initially looked up. It wasn't until he disconnected the internet and turned his cell phone to Do Not Disturb that he was able to dive fully into Troy Masters' world. As Gabe saved his work in his documents folder on his desktop, in the cloud, and on a flash drive, he became aware of the stiffness in his shoulders, neck, and lower back. Once again, he'd sat at his computer for far too long. Night had fallen, and what did he have to show for it? A few more pages added to his latest manuscript. He pushed back from his desk and stared out his study window. Not much to see, just the brick wall of the neighboring building. He leaned his face against the smooth surface of the cool window pane and tilted his head back, as this enabled him to see the smallest scrap of night sky. Suddenly, he longed for more. What was more? He had no idea, but lately he had noticed a pervasive feeling of emptiness niggling at him, as if something intangible was missing. The air in his sleek loft apartment seemed stale, as if the oxygen had been depleted. He'd been holed up in there for a couple of days, writing, eating, sleeping, and then writing some more. He grabbed his cell phone off the desk, got a coat from the hall closet, and slipped it on. On his way through the kitchen, he poured himself 2 fingers of whiskey and then climbed the circular stairs that led to his rooftop terrace. The slap of frigid air had him turning up the collar of his overcoat. However, he enjoyed the sharp bite of it. Found it invigorating after being glued to his keyboard all day. What time is it? He wondered. He huffed out a laugh. Forget what time. What day is it? That was the disadvantage to being self-employed. One day blurred into the next. He pulled out his cell phone and clicked the home button. It's 9:38 p.m.? Wow. Who knew it had gotten that late? He swiped up on the screen and turned off the Do Not Disturb. Instantaneously, his phone started to buzz with incoming messages and emails. He took a slug of his whiskey and savored the heat as it traveled down his throat, then glanced down at the phone. What he saw had his heart thumping hard in his chest with worry. There was a profusion of missed phone calls from his mom. Something must be terribly wrong.
Fergus Conaghan looked with satisfaction in the mirror that his wife Alma held before him. "Looks good," he said. "Perhaps a bit more shadow under the eyes." "I will not, Fergus," she replied with a touch of tart lemon to her voice. "You already look like death warmed over. If I add any more, the poor boy will think you're on your deathbed." "Good," Fergus roared. "I want to scare the crap out of him. I'm 65 years old. You turned 61 last week. Why isn't he married? Where are our grandchildren? We should have been gifted with half a dozen by now, but has he done his duty? No, none of the children have. Give him time. He's only 36. When I was his age, our 4th child was in your belly. It was a different era, Fergus. He's wasting his life hunched over that keyboard of his. How many blasted murder mysteries must that boy write? He writes crime fiction, honey. How's he ever supposed to meet anyone when he never goes out? Refuses to socialize. Has his nose to that computer all damn day. The boy needs a good boot in the rear end, and I'm just the man to give it to him. We're going to send him to Solace Island. No one on God's green earth could resist the siren's lure of that gorgeous landscape. Fergus rubbed his hands together gleefully. It'll lull him away from his keyboard and out into the world.